Okay, so you know how we're all glued to our screens these days? Like it or not, that's the world we live in. But what if we could take all that tech, all that information overload, and use it to actually transform education?
Now that's a concept worth exploring.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. Kevin Brake's vision for the future of learning. We've combed through his YouTube talks, LinkedIn posts, even got some insider info from colleagues.
It's clear this isn't just another techie talking about algorithms.
Not at all. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. We're going beyond the code and really trying to understand Brake's vision.
And to grasp his approach to AI in education, we need to start with the man himself, right? And get a sense of what drives him.
Absolutely. So let's paint a picture for our listeners. What kind of person is Kevin Brake?
Well, if you look at how his colleagues describe him, words like creative and pushes boundaries pop up. Oh, and great smile. Definitely not your stereotypical techie hiding behind a screen.
He actually won an IT Hero Award. That says a lot.
Definitely not just about technical prowess, is it? It points to someone who uses their skills to make a real impact, to help others. And that comes across strongly in everything we uncovered.
It's interesting you say that because his passion for making technology accessible really shines through, even from his early days. This is a guy who was coding at 10 years old.
10 years old. Wow, that's impressive. What got him started so young?
You're not going to believe this. It wasn't some complex equation or anything like that. It was a Christmas animation.
Get out, seriously.
I know, right? He saw a reindeer come to life on one of those old Radio Shack displays, and that sparked this whole obsession with figuring out how it worked, the magic behind it.
That's incredible. And you can almost draw a line from that childhood fascination to what he's doing now. Trying to demystify technology, make it less intimidating, and use it to create engaging learning experiences.
And he's been at it for a while, too. Back in the 90s, when most people were still trying to figure out how to use a computer, he was out there teaching senior citizens about the internet.
Back when the internet came in a book. That's amazing. Talk about bridging the tech gap.
I know, right? This wasn't just showing someone how to double-click. He was explaining the World Wide Web when it was practically brand new. That's dedication.
And it shows how deeply he believes in the power of technology to empower people, regardless of their age or background. He was ahead of his time, that's for sure.
And this is where his work with AI comes in, right? But he's not talking about some distant sci-fi future.
Exactly. He's all about bringing it down to earth, showing how AI is already all around us, shaping our everyday lives. Like, when was the last time you used Google Maps?
Just this morning. Got stuck in traffic, actually.
And what did Google Maps do?
Well, it rerouted me. Found a quicker way.
Right. That's AI in action. Or how about those eerily accurate Netflix recommendations? AI again.
Okay, yeah, I never thought of it like that. But those are just, conveniences. How does he see AI transforming something as complex as education?
Think about it. Right now, we're still largely stuck in this one-size-fits-all model of teaching. But with AI, Brake envisions a world where every student gets a truly personalized learning journey.
Personalized learning, I hear that term a lot. What does it actually look like in Brake's vision?
Imagine a system that adjusts the pacing of lessons based on a student's individual grasp of the material. So if you're breezing through, it'll challenge you further. But if you're struggling, it'll slow things down and provide extra support. And it's not just about pacing, it's about customizing the content itself.
Whoa, so instead of everyone reading the same chapter on photosynthesis, some students might get additional materials on, say, plant adaptations in harsh environments, while others might delve deeper into the chemical processes.
Exactly. AI could analyze each student's learning style, interests, even their past performance, and tailor the content to make it as engaging and relevant as possible. And get this, assessments could adapt as well. Imagine a quiz that gets progressively more challenging if you're acing it, or offers different types of questions depending on how you best demonstrate your knowledge.
That's pretty wild. But what about the teachers? Where do they fit into this AI-powered classroom?
That's the thing. It's not about replacing teachers at all. It's about freeing them from those tedious, time-consuming tasks that take away from actual teaching.
Grading, lesson planning, all that fun stuff.
Exactly. Brake sees AI handling a lot of that administrative burden. Imagine teachers no longer drowning in paperwork, but having more time for one-on-one mentoring, for sparking those aha moments that happen when you connect with a student on a deeper level.
Okay, now that's something I think every teacher would get behind. But let's get even more granular. What are some specific examples Brake gives of AI in action within a classroom setting?
He talks about AI-powered course alerts, for example. Say a significant number of students are stumbling on a particular concept in their online lessons. The AI could flag that for the teacher in real time, allowing them to address it right away, maybe through a quick review or a targeted activity. Or think about content alerts. If learning materials need to be updated, the AI could automatically notify everyone, ensuring that students are always working with the most current information.
It's like having a super efficient assistant constantly monitoring the learning process and flagging anything that needs attention. Talk about working smarter, not harder. But I imagine some people might hear all this and think, hold on, are we talking about robots replacing teachers?
And Break is very clear on this. Technology should be a tool to empower educators, not to replace them. The human element, the passion, the empathy, that's irreplaceable. But by integrating AI strategically, we can create a much more efficient, engaging, and ultimately effective learning environment for everyone.
It's about finding that balance, right? Using technology to enhance and amplify what teachers do best, not trying to replicate it.
Absolutely. And this is where his work on immersive learning comes in. He believes VR and AR have a huge role to play in the future of education, and not just for high-tech subjects. We're talking about transforming the entire learning experience from history to biology to the arts.
Okay, I have to admit, when I hear VR and AR, I immediately think about video games and those funny-looking headsets. But Brake sees it as something much bigger, right?
Absolutely. He's talking about creating truly immersive learning environments where students aren't just passively absorbing information, they're actively participating, experiencing things firsthand.
So give me an example. Paint me a picture of what this kind of immersive learning could look like.
Imagine training for a high-risk job like construction work. Instead of just reading about safety procedures, you could put on a VR headset and experience a simulated fall. Understand the consequences of not wearing a harness, all in a safe, controlled environment. Or think about medical students. What if they could practice complex surgeries in a VR operating room before ever picking up a scalpel on a real patient?
Now that's incredible. The possibilities for training in those high-stakes fields are mind-boggling. But what about more everyday subjects? How do you make something like history or literature come alive through VR?
Imagine this. You're studying ancient Rome. Instead of just reading about the Colosseum, you put on a VR headset, and suddenly you're there. You're walking through the streets, hearing the roar of the crowd, maybe even witnessing a gladiatorial combat, all from a safe distance, of course. Talk about making history come alive. Or think about literature. What if you could step inside the pages of your favorite novel, walk alongside the characters, experience the story firsthand?
Wow, that's taking immersive reading to a whole new level.
It does make you wonder about the logistics, though. Creating these immersive VR experiences, even for something like a history lesson, it sounds incredibly complex and expensive. Like, are we talking Hollywood-level budgets here?
That's a common misconception. Brake emphasizes that VR and AR are becoming increasingly accessible, even for classrooms with limited resources. So it's not just for fancy private schools with their own tech labs.
Exactly. He talks about tools like Scenario VR, which allows you to create immersive experiences using 360-degree videos. And the best part, you don't need to be a coding whiz to use it.
Wait, so I could literally take a 360-degree camera, film something like, say, a tour of our local museum, and then use this Scenario VR to turn that footage into a virtual field trip for my students.
That's the idea. Students could walk through the museum, explore exhibits up close, maybe even hear from a virtual curator.
And because it's interactive, they're not just passively watching a video, they're actually engaged, exploring at their own pace.
Exactly. And think about the possibilities beyond just virtual field trips. Imagine students building 3D models of historical landmarks in their history class or dissecting a virtual frog in biology, all without the mess or the ethical concerns.
It's incredible to think how far this technology has come and how accessible it's becoming. But isn't there a risk that we're getting so caught up in the wow factor of VR and AI that we lose sight of the actual learning goals?
And that's something Brake addresses head on. He's a huge advocate for using these tools thoughtfully and strategically. It's not about replacing traditional teaching methods, but about enhancing them, making learning more engaging, relevant, and effective.
So it's about striking that balance, right?
Right.
Blending the best of both worlds.
Exactly. And this is where I think Brake's message really resonates. He doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. He's constantly sharing his knowledge through his YouTube channel, highlighting the work of educators who are using these tools in innovative ways.
He's creating a community, a movement, really.
He is, and it's contagious. It makes you want to dive in and explore these tools, experiment, and see how you can use them to make a difference in your own classroom, your own workplace.
So to wrap things up here, we've gone deep into Kevin Brake's world, from his childhood fascination with that Christmas animation to his vision of an AI-powered immersive future for learning. What's the key takeaway for our listeners? What does he really want us to walk away with?
I think it boils down to this. The future of learning is here, and it's not something to be afraid of. Brake's message is all about embracing these new tools, these incredible opportunities to make education more engaging, more effective, and more accessible for everyone. He's urging us to approach this new landscape with a sense of curiosity, a willingness to experiment, and a belief that technology can help us unlock the full potential of every learner.
He's challenging us to move beyond the traditional classroom walls and step into a world where learning is no longer confined to textbooks and lectures. It can happen anywhere, anytime, and be tailored to each individual's needs and interests.
Precisely. And that's an exciting future to be a part of, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So, to everyone listening, take Kevin Brake's lead. Embrace the possibilities, explore these amazing tools, and who knows, you might just spark a lifelong love of learning in someone's life.